2, 3, 4, and then the music starts. Maybe you wondered why they count to 4. It's usually because there's 4 beats in the bar. There are other time signatures where there's different amounts of beats in the bar, but 4 time or 4 beats in the bar is the most common. Now, the general idea here is that you want to learn to count along. Eventually, we're going to be tapping our foot along as well. But you want to be, first of all, thinking just about this counting 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get used to being able to count it. I know it seems silly, but have a go at doing that first. It might feel a little bit odd if you're used to counting to 10. And then what you want to be doing is practicing strumming only on the 1. So get, say, your D chord up, and you're going to strum down on 1 and count the rest. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you see that my arm is moving for all of the rest of the beats? That's the ideal. 2, 3, 4. Even though I'm actually not strumming, I'm still keeping my arm moving. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think many beginners are going to be able to strum on 1 and keep the hand moving for the rest of the time. I couldn't do that really when I was learning my left-handed stuff. Too difficult. But you'll find through the course I'm trying to give you the ideal option as well, because some people will be ready for it. So you might do it and be like, yeah, I'm cool with this. I can move my hand down as I'm counting along. I'm totally hip with that, in which case I want you to do it. For me, it was a little bit more cumbersome than that. I didn't feel like I could do that, and I was more worried about the chord changes, which is the next thing coming up. You know, just even getting used to just strumming down, going 1, 2, 3, 4, chord change, 1, 2, 3, 4, chord change, 1, 2. That would be amazing if you can get to that point. For most beginners, it's going to be more like 1, 2, 3, 4. Get the fingers in. 2, 3, 4. I want to talk about this strumming on 1 is particularly when you go to play a song, even if it's real slow. At the early stages, we just want to be trying to get that strum on beat 1. Not strumming on beat 2 or beat 4, but trying to count and get used to the idea of strumming on beat 1. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, chord change, 1, 2, 3, 4, chord change, 1. So we're trying to get the chord change in time to be able to strum the 1 again, even if it means starting the change immediately after playing. So going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay? The strum on the 1 is the key thing. So if you have to leave the chord early, if your chord change is quite slow and you have to leave early to get there, that's okay. The thing you're aiming for is getting that strum on beat 1, particularly when you're playing a song or you're playing along with a backing track kind of thing, using my app, the Beginner Song Course app. You want to be aiming to try and get your strum on 1. In the first week, that's going to be very difficult. Do your best. Try and get that strum on 1. But if you only get to strum every 4 times the chord changes because the chord changes are so slow, that's okay too. Particularly when you start playing songs. There's some other challenges that I'm going to talk about in the following video. But the key thing that I wanted to mention is this counting to 4, just going 1, 2, 3, 4, and putting a strum on the first beat. Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today I want to talk about strumming the correct strings. Now, as you're probably aware, when we play a D chord, we don't want to play the thickest 2 strings. But as a beginner, that's going to be quite challenging, especially if you're playing a song that you're worrying about your chord changes and everything else. So I want to say, does it really matter? Now, if you're aiming for the thinnest 4 strings for the D chord and you accidentally hit the 5th string, sounds fine. In fact, sometimes it sounds really good to have that note. On the D chord, the thickest string doesn't sound very good. But you know what? In the early stages, it's going to happen. So don't worry about it. If you accidentally hit that thicker string, no one's going to get hurt. It's not going to cause any problems. It might not be perfect, but that doesn't matter. It's really important that you get that. The fun thing here is making your chord changes, trying to do the strumming, playing along with some songs. There's a whole lot of stuff to learn. Not playing the thicker string on a D chord is kind of important in the grand scheme of guitar, but not in the first few weeks. So try not to hit it when you're strumming, but if you accidentally hit it, it doesn't matter. With the A chord, you're not supposed to play the thicker string, but it doesn't sound bad, actually. It's a note in the chord, actually. The E note is part of an A chord. It's here and here. Two outside strings are both the note E. So if you can play the thinnest one and kind of play the thickest one, it just doesn't sound as good as if you leave it out. Now, these things are ideal, so it's the sort of thing that you want to bear in mind when you're practicing, but there are other priorities, like making your chord changes, strumming on the one, making sure all of the notes are nice in the chords. That sort of stuff is far more important than possibly accidentally hitting one of the strings that you shouldn't on a particular chord. So be aware of it when you're practicing, particularly you're doing your chord perfect exercises. You want to be doing your strum correctly from the right string and, making sure that you don't play those thickest two strings. But especially when it comes to songs, when there's other stuff going on, this really isn't the top of the priority list.
Want to turn vision into action, when you want to do more, much more than just play. You have room to think big, then bigger. And when you have the space to hatch an idea, launch a business, or change the game, you have space time. The AR laptop for work. The game changer for game changers. To think big, then bigger. And when you have the space to hatch an idea,
Hey, how you doing? Justin continuing the lesson on with a look at the E chord. Now, a lot of people find the E chord a little easier than A and D. And the reason I pop it into lesson 2 is because if you've done your homework and you've practiced your A and D and you've got those changes up, when we add in the E, it feels a little bit easier. And the repertoire choices that we've got with those 3 chords becomes huge all of a sudden. So it's a lot of fun. So this is what an E chord looks like. It's actually a pretty cool one because we don't have to worry about not strumming any strings. We're going to strum all 6 strings for this chord. Now, as usual, we're going to start with the first finger. First finger is going to go down right next to the fret in the first fret on the 3rd string. So 1, 2, 3 in the first fret. Then we're going to put second finger down right up next to the fret again, but not right on it for reasons you're going to see in a second, but a tiny little bit back. And that's the 2nd fret of the 5th string, the 2nd thickest string. And then 3rd finger is going to go down right next to the fret there on the 4th string. So the 2nd and 3rd fingers are in the same fret. That's why I said to you, if you put your 2nd finger down there right next to the fret, you're trying to get that 3rd finger in is going to be pretty difficult. So 2nd finger will sit a little bit back from the fret. 3rd finger will be right next to the fret. So 1st and 3rd fingers right next to the fret. 2nd finger will go just a little bit further back. Now, the key thing here, again, when you're learning your new chords is the strum, pick out, strum. So we start off by giving it a strum, then we pick out the notes one at a time, and then we strum it again. Now, when I was learning this stuff, I found it really difficult to use a pick for picking the notes out one at a time, so don't be upset if you're going to use your thumb. Just go through and pick out the notes like that. That's totally cool as well. Like I said, you do the best you can here. You try and push yourself a little bit, that's okay, but don't feel upset if you find using the pick really difficult, because I certainly did when I was learning this stuff. Now, a couple of things about the hand position and the things we want to be aware of. Now, I've got the thumb there hooking over the top, and that's kind of a normal thing for me when I play naturally these days after having played for 30 years. At this point, you want to be keeping the thumb around the back of the neck, and that's really important. The reason is that we want to build up this muscle here between the first finger and the thumb for when we play these things called bar chords, when we're going to play like whole shapes and we've got to press all the strings down at once. So we really want to get that muscle nice and strong. So it's much better in the early stages to be playing with the thumb around the back of the neck. Now, exactly where it goes will depend on your anatomy, because everyone's got a different shaped thumb and it sits in a different place. So it should generally be speaking behind the fingers in the top half of the neck of the guitar, okay, roughly. It's not exact, so because like I said, everyone's slightly different. For some people, the thumb kind of points a little bit more toward the headstock. For some people, it points a little bit toward your face. Other people, it's straight up. You've got to find the place where it feels comfortable for you, where you feel like you can get good pressure on the fingers. Okay, so don't be stressed about like, where's my thumb going? It's going to be different for everyone. Just don't worry about it. Okay, so it's a really important little part of the piece of the puzzle that you need to figure out kind of on your own, really. So first thing, the thicker string, when you play that one, if it's dead like this, it's the 2nd finger's up too far and is touching that string. So just bring it back down so you've got that open string ringing nice and clear. When we're testing the 5th string, if that one's feeling a bit dead, it's probably you're not pressing hard enough, because there's not much else that can go too wrong with that one. If you're really far back, you'll probably get this sort of sound. So you want to bring it up as far forward as you can, and then just don't press too hard. Okay, we're not into pressing really hard all the time. We want to press as lightly as we can while still getting a good note. Okay, so still getting a good note as lightly as you can. Really, really important. The note under your 3rd finger on the 4th string, probably not going to have too many problems with that one. As long as you've positioned it right next to the fret, you'll be fine. If you've gone over, you get this sort of slightly dead sound. So just behind the fret is where you want it. Now, the 3rd string, this is the most common problem note for beginners, and it's usually the 3rd finger leans over too far. So just like underneath here, underneath that 3rd finger is just going to be touching that string underneath. So you really got to just make sure that you get your 3rd finger nicely on the tip, okay? Don't let it be flat like this. It wants to be right on the tip of that 3rd finger. As long as you've done that, you should find that note's okay, because the 1st finger note, there's not too many other obstructions there other than that 3rd finger ringing down. When we go to test the 2nd string, if that's not ringing out, it's almost certainly going to be first finger. So the first finger's laying a little bit too flat again. You just want to get it right up on the tip. And if the thinner string's ringing out, it's probably this part of your hand, the underneath of your second or first finger is going to be touching there. So you just need to bring this part, like kind of your knuckles forward a little bit. Generally, you want to have a little bit of space in here, not like, I can't quite get my finger right the way through there. It's just a little space, but basically this part of your hand shouldn't be touching on the fretboard. It should just be a little gap there. Not like right on it, not like right far away. You're just trying to, a few millimeters, It doesn't have to be much, just so it's not touching. So when you're practicing your chord now, for your chord practice, you're going to strum, you're going to pick the notes out one at a time, and strum again. For most people when they start, it'll probably sound like this. And then you have to go through and third finger up and first finger up. And then when you've got that sounding good, then you give it a strum again and you tell yourself, this is how I want you to go, fingers. Remember this position. It's a really important part of the journey, is that final strum and just telling yourself, this is how I want you to go, fingers, and trying to memorize where they're at. Memorizing the chord shape is, of course, really important. You shouldn't be moving on to the next lesson until you've memorized your chords. You shouldn't be having to look at the page beyond like the first couple of days of your practice, okay? So memorizing the shape of the chord, really, really important as well. Hey, Justin here, back to talk about anchor fingers with your E chord and the A and the D that you've learned already. So starting off on our E chord, if we're going to an A chord, we're going to leave first finger down because first finger's still our anchor, and we're going to slide it up halfway to in the second fret and then put down fingers 2 and 3 for our A chord. To go back to E, second and third fingers off, slide it back, drop it back down again. So that's the first thing you really want to practice, that sliding that first finger up, put the fingers down, and then lift them off back to the E chord. Okay, so E to A, really nice change. It just involves a 1 fret slide there with the first finger. When we're going to the D chord, it's the same kind of idea. First finger's going to slide up. This time it's going to slide right up to the second fret. Second and third fingers go down for the D chord. So second and third fingers off, slide it back to the first fret. Second and third fingers go down for the E. Up, slide it forward, put the fingers down and off. And it's you're going to want to do a little bit of practice on this before you get stuck into your 1-minute changes, just to get used to the feeling of sliding that first finger back to the first fret and forward again. Just the same with the D chord, we just had the A to D change, we only had to move that first finger a little bit within the second fret. Now we've got to slide it way back, right into the first fret, and then put those fingers down. Now, depending on where you're at with your chord changes, you might find that you're putting the fingers down in order, and that's okay. Okay, the best, if you're not putting them down all at once, you want to put them down in finger order. So first finger's there, second finger, third finger. Go to the A, lift them off, first finger slides forward, second finger, third finger down. Back to the E, off, slide it back, second finger, third finger. To the D chord, take them off, first finger, second finger, third finger. Okay, long term, they'll go together. So when you're changing between your chords, the other fingers, or in fact all the fingers, will eventually go down at the same time. But at the beginner stages, you want to be thinking always in terms of fingers 1, 2, and 3. So there's a pattern, so there's a method, there's something to follow, and you're confident you know which ones you're going to do when. Hey, how you doing? Justin back with you. Today we're going to talk about how to tap your foot. Yep, you heard right. We're going to learn about how to tap your foot and why, actually, and we're going to start with that. So I'm sure you've seen people tapping their foot along as they're playing guitar, and you might have wondered why they're doing it. It's giving yourself an external pulse, something to help you keep time. The only thing in our body that gives us a regular time is our heartbeat. We don't really want to follow that because that should be a relatively consistent beat, and we might be playing faster or slower or whatever. So we need this external thing to help us keep in the groove. Okay, we're going to learn about playing with a metronome, which is that little tick-tock thing a little bit later on. But the first step really is to learn about tapping your foot. And you would normally tap your foot on the beat. Now, in most music, most of the time, you're going to have 4 beats to the bar. So 4 pulses. These count 1, 2, 3, 4. And you would normally tap your beat just on the 1, 2, 3, and the 4. Not the rhythm of the song. If the rhythm's going ding, 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 whatever, you would still just be keeping your foot playing on the 1, 2, 3, and the 4. So what I want you to do this week is start to get in the habit of tapping your foot along to the music whenever it's on. Give yourself some time to do it. Go and listen to some music where you can feel the beat and start to practice tapping your foot along. Ideally, you want your foot to tap along subconsciously. So it becomes this little automatic part of your brain. So as soon as there's music going on, your foot just starts tapping in time with the music. Let's talk about how we tap our foot now. Assuming you're a right-handed guitar player, you want to tap your left foot, not your right foot. If you tap your right foot, your guitar's going to jump up and down. That's going to make changing chords and strumming and picking out notes really difficult. Okay, so if you're going to tap your foot, make sure it's not if you're going to tap your foot. You are going to tap your foot. If you're right-handed, you're going to tap your left foot, and if you're left-handed, you're going to tap your right foot. Okay, get into the right habit from the beginning. So here's my left foot. Now the question is, where do I tap and how do I tap? So most people, I guess, instinctively would assume that you tap your toes. And there's nothing really wrong with that, to be honest. I don't think it's the best thing, because if you're tapping like that for 5 minutes, you'll find that the muscles in the front of your shin will kind of get, or can get, pretty sore. Probably after a few weeks of practicing, it won't matter so much and you'll be used to it. But I think it's better to tap the heel, to go for a heel tap. That way you're kind of using your whole leg to feel that beat there. Definitely if I'm standing up, I find tapping my toe feels a bit weird. I'm much more inclined to tap my heel. I mean, actually, truth be told, if I'm standing up, I generally kind of step side to side, so I'm not really tapping my foot. But whether you use your toes or your heel doesn't matter too much. If you're new to it, like I said, I think my recommendation would be the heel. But if you want to use your toe, that's going to be fine. I guess you've got to try both of them, see what feels good. Some people like using other parts of their body. Like I said, I tend to step side to side if I'm standing up, but definitely tapping my foot if I'm sitting down. Other people I've known kind of use their neck like that. Kind of looks a bit weird, I think, but if that's what's working for you, that's okay, you know. But you've got to be feeling it, you know, and feeling that pulse and getting used to feeling the music and feeling where the beat is a really important. Feel where the beat is and then start tapping your foot, okay? Hey, how you doing? Justin here. In this lesson, we're going to talk about strumming mechanics for beginners. So exactly like how your arm should sit, the angle it should sit, where the motion comes from. Is it your wrist? Is it your arm? All of that sort of stuff. I think having an understanding of that can really help a beginner on their journey. So it's slightly different for acoustic guitar and electric guitar, but I'm going to take you through both, okay? So starting off with acoustic guitar, first thing you want to realize is that your arm's going to sit on the guitar, on the top of the guitar, so it's nice and relaxed. You shouldn't be kind of floating away from the instrument. That'll cause you a lot of tension in the shoulder, and you really want to be as relaxed as possible. So your arm sits on the acoustic guitar in a nice, relaxed way. So find a little spot where it's kind of totally relaxed, sitting on the instrument. Now, it's important to realize that part of this placement is to hold your guitar sturdy, okay? You don't want to be holding the guitar up with your fretting hand at all. Okay, so it should sit the same when you're doing your chords as when you've taken that hand off altogether. So it's the shape of the guitar there, the way it sits on your leg, and the pressure from that arm that'll hold the guitar nice and firmly in place. Okay, so it's an important thing to realize first of all. Now, the actual motion when you're strumming as a beginner should be your forearm. Now, there are techniques later on where you use your wrist, where it becomes a lot more like flicking water off your hand, particularly if you're strumming real quick. But my recommendation for beginners is that you get into this idea of it being a forearm movement. So what we're looking for here really is from the elbow all of the way down right to the thumb is a straight line. Okay, the pick is going to come out the side of the thumb. So the motion there with the hand stays more or less parallel to the guitar all the time. Okay, so just get used to that without strumming the guitar first of all. Just try and get used to that feeling. It wants to be as relaxed as possible. Of course, you're going to require some muscles moving to be able to create the tension to make your arm move, but it wants to be as relaxed as it can. It doesn't want to feel all tight and tense. The strumming will sound horrible and tight and tense, and your pick will keep getting stuck in the strings if you're like that. You want it to be just really as relaxed as you can possibly get it, okay? Really feel like almost the down strums are almost like your hands just dropping down. Then you use a little bit of muscle to bring it back, and then it's dropping. Wants to feel really that relaxed. Okay? It's a really important part of this beginner journey, is getting your strumming mechanics feeling good, okay? Now, another part of that is how hard you hold the pick and how you hold the pick. So if you're following my, my guidance here, the pick should come out the side of your thumb, okay? Now, it wants to be at a little bit of an angle to the strings as well. If the pick is square onto the strings, it kind of jerks through a little bit. It'll keep getting caught. The worst is if it's angled like this and then you go for a down strum, it's just going to pull into the strings, okay? So it wants to be kind of parallel first of all, and then slightly pointing down, slightly away from you. I think that's going to be a really important little movement. Just that little bit, just so often just bending the knuckle of your thumb just a little bit can make a huge difference. And then you'll see now that the pick hits the strings at an angle, and therefore it's not going to get caught, okay? It's such a little subtle difference. Just the movement of that thumb from there to there means that instead of the pick being flat on, that little bit of angle means the pick will glide over the strings rather than potentially getting caught in the strings. You'll find it can just glide through. It doesn't want to be too much. It's not like 90 degrees. It's like maybe 20 or 30 degrees to the strings. Now, once you've got that, a really good exercise to do, just a little bit on your own. It's not like you have to practice it every day, but just making the motion down and up over the strings like that, making sure that it's not coming from your wrist. There's not too much twisty stuff going on here. There's coming from the forearm and trying to keep it relaxed. Now, what you're going to find is if you hold the pick too tight, it gets all jerky again. So you want the pick to be so loose, like unbelievably loose. Especially for beginners, they worry about dropping the pick all the time. That's dead normal, and you probably will drop it sometimes. That's okay. But you want to feel the pick as loosely in your fingers as you can. It's one of the reasons why I suggest for beginners that you start with a very, very thin pick, the thinnest you can find. Because if you hold your pick too tight, it's going to get jammed and caught in the strings and always feel really jerky. A real thin pick is much more forgiving and won't do that. Long term, you want to hold the pick lightly so that I can use a thicker pick and it still glides over just as well. Okay, but just so you're understanding the reasoning here. So for really early stages, use as thin a pick as you can for strumming because it's forgiving. And as you get a bit better, you want to use a thicker and thicker pick so that you can control the volume and you control how you play much better with a thick pick, but it requires a lighter grip. And that's often hard for beginners. As it is, you're going to find the pick moving around in your fingers and you're going to have to stop all the time and go like, reset it because it'll be pointing in the wrong direction. It's all normal, nothing to worry about. We're going to talk a little bit more about that further on down the line as well. But just for now, I want you to concentrate on the straight arm, motion from the wrist and angling the pick just a little bit on the contact with the strings and being aware of not gripping the pick too tight. Like I said, we'll discuss a little bit more detail about how that works later on, but just for now, not too tight and use a thin pick. Okay, I'm using my kind of the thicker pick. I do actually have, let me reach over and grab that now, a super thin pick. So this is, it's essentially like a piece of paper. It's completely bendy. And with this one, I can hold it as hard as I like and it still doesn't get caught up in the strings, okay? Because it just bends flat, So that's the reason I think this, the super thin pick is really great for beginners. I'm struggling. I'm like 4 or 5, 6 weeks into my beginners left-handed lessons, and I find if I use this orange pick, it's just feels really awkward, even though I exactly know what I should be doing. Right? I really deeply know that I shouldn't be holding the pick too hard. I still struggle with it. Okay, but the sooner you can be aware of that, the better, and the sooner you're going to start getting it right. So let me talk you through a little bit about the difference now with electric guitar, because it's the idea is the same, the concept's the same, the movements are the same, but you don't have this rest for your arm. So it's one of the reasons why I really find it uncomfortable to play with a long shirt on or something, a jumper. because you want to have a little bit of grip here of the forearm on the guitar itself. Okay, so your arm sits on here and it kind of moves on the guitar. Okay, it's why you often get a little bit of wear on like relic guitars or old vintage guitars. You get a lot of wear on this part of the guitar neck because your arm kind of sits on it, and it's the grippiness of the skin kind of holds it in place, because you still want the shoulder to be nice and relaxed. You don't want to be doing like this, strumming like this away from the instrument with nothing, with your elbow floating free, because it will get really painful. You'll get far too much tension in your shoulder, probably end up really badly injuring yourself. So it just sits loosely on the guitar like this. So there's a little bit of grip, and then it's exactly the same motion. So it's still parallel to the strings. You're still thinking about that slight angle there with the pick. Okay, that's it. All of those things are the same. Still thinking nice and relaxed all the time. You can see that the motion, instead of it being like sitting on it, is just like sitting on the top like we get from an acoustic guitar. It's just sitting on there. There's a touch more tension. I can just, because I'm trying to be really aware of it, there's a little bit more tension there in my shoulder holding my arm in place, but not much. It's just not quite as relaxed as on an acoustic guitar. But definitely that's part of the reason. You should just try putting a jumper on and see how your hand's unable to kind of sit in the right place. I have seen guys that kind of rest their forearm a little bit more on there, so it does feel a little bit more rested. That doesn't really work for me. We are all different, and that's kind of an important thing to realize as well, is that every one of us has a slightly different anatomy, and everyone's going to be slightly different. You might find that sitting up on the acoustic guitar is a bit too difficult, or you might have a real small body acoustic guitar, in which case it doesn't work. You end up with, you're strumming right up the neck too far if your guitar body is too small. You might find that you're quite little if you're a young learner. Your arm's little enough that you can rest on the acoustic guitar, on electric guitar. Or if you've got a bigger body electric guitar like a 335, you can probably rest it on the top. So there are loads of different variables. Hey, how you doing? Justin back with you. Now we're looking at strumming on the beat. Now we already I mentioned that most music, beginner sort of stuff, is going to be in 4/4, meaning there's 4 beats to the bar. There are other things like a waltz where you have 3, do dit dit do dit dit, this kind of thing. Most music though has this 1 2 3 4 and 1 2 3 4 kind of feeling. So as well as learning to tap your foot on the beat, you also want to start feeling the down strum on the beat. So whenever you have a beat like 1 2 3 and 4, when you've got a bar of 4/4, 4/4 time is what we call it when there's 4 beats in the bar. Bar is just a grouping of the 4 beats. That's going to be 4 down strums. So you'd be counting 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. A really great thing to practice is just to get your fingers wrapped around so that you've got all of the strings are dead, and you're going to do a down strum at the same time as you do your foot tap, and count out aloud. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. And I mean, you want to be doing this a load. 1 2 3 4. I'm bobbing my head as well. You don't have to be doing the head bob. I find I naturally do that. But 1 2 3 4. Just thinking this, counting to 4, 1 2 3 and 4, doing the down strum and the foot tap. So the thing to realize when you're practicing this kind of exercise is that we're trying to develop an automatic system in our mind. Kind of like some people call it muscle memory, but I think it's much more of a brain thing than a muscle thing. But you're trying to train an automatic response so that you're feeling this down beat with your foot, the down strum with your hand. The down beat we call the numbers, by the way, 1 2 3 or 4 we would often refer to as the down beat. We're going to do a down strum pretty much always on a downbeat. There are few exceptions in way advanced music, but generally speaking, you're going to have a down strum on the beat, which is going to be the counts of 1 2 3 and 4. So just practicing going like 1 2 3 4, just doing it like that and counting along. It's good to get used to the count. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. Eventually, you want to be able to not have to think about it too much, and that your foot and your hand are going to synchronize together without worrying about it. You shouldn't even have to think about it. That down strum with your hand and your foot are going to be happening at the same time. Developing that relationship is really what we're going for here. Because like I've said, your foot tapping becomes like your metronome. It's the thing that's guiding the tempo and guiding your pulse all the time. And if you trained your hand up to follow that, once the foot gets going, the hand can feel it as well. You can start listening to the music, tap your foot, and then your hand will naturally start moving these down strums with your foot. The best way of doing it is just repetition. It's playing it over and over again. Counting it can be really helpful, because when I'm teaching you songs and teaching you strumming patterns, I'll be going like 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So if you've got used to the count already, we're not worrying about ands or up strums yet, by the way. So just concentrate on the 1, 2, 3, and the 4 and the down strums for now. But just practicing that and being able to say it will really help you pick up strumming patterns a lot quicker. Okay, so for now, you'll practice literally 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's one of those things where as a beginner you might be like, really? Like, that's the most fun thing that you can give me for right now? It's probably not the most fun thing, but it'll be the most valuable thing. And it'll mean that you have a load more fun in the very near future. So those kind of exercises, they're not that much fun, but we're only talking about doing like a minute or a couple of minutes on this kind of exercise. So it's not a huge chunk of time. And the value that you get from doing those exercises will mean that you have a lot more fun when you're playing songs, which is kind of what it's all about, right? You're going to find times where the song is going a little bit too fast to strum on every beat, when you're going like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're like, well, this all feels a little bit too frantic for a particular song. So you can either, your choices are strumming just on beat 1 each time. So going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So just strumming on beat 1 by itself, like 1 strum per bar would always be on beat 1. You could do 2 strums per bar, where you would nearly always strum on beat 1 and 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'd normally call that 2 strums per bar. Now, you'll probably notice, or you might not notice, that my hand is moving 4 anyway. So even if I'm strumming once per bar, I'm still going 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, if you're a real beginner, you might find that a bit of a push. I struggle to do that still. When I'm learning left-handed, if I flip the guitar over and I try and just strum on 1, I find it difficult to keep the hand moving. It's getting better, okay, but it's difficult. You'll probably find it difficult too. But again, I want to give you the things that you want to be working toward now, so you know if you start doing it, like, oh yeah, this is a good thing, I'm going to keep doing it. You know what it is that you're aspiring to, but don't be beating yourself up if you find that really difficult right now. It's your second lesson. You're going to find that kind of thing difficult. Well, like, nearly everyone will find that difficult. Probably a few freaks out there that are going to figure it out and go like, yeah, I can do that. Great, if that's you. But most people are going to find that pretty hard. But just be aware of it. So just thinking about your strumming. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and tapping your foot if you can. 2, 3, and then thinking 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then moving on to 1, 2, 3, 4. Just strumming on the beat each time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Getting used to the count as well. You'll find that really helpful. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to make it a little bit more fancy in the future. So the more practice that you've done on that, the easier it's going to be. Hey, how you doing? Justin back with you again for another important little bit of advice for those of you on my beginner's course for when you're playing songs. And that is the importance of getting your chords right and ready for beat 1. So if you're playing a song, no matter how fast it is, you want to try to get your strum right on beat 1. Okay, sometimes it's not going to be possible. If you're really struggling, you're trying to get to the chord as fast as you can, but you just can't do it. But what you want to do as a general rule is start changing your chords with enough time that you can get the chord ready for the next strum on beat 1. For example, if we're playing here E to A, we're going 1 strum per bar. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I can start the change after beat 4 because I'm pretty confident with that chord change. It's not a big effort for me. But I know when I'm playing lefty and I'm struggling with it, I'd probably have to start changing chords around beat 3. So going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And that's okay. It's much better to be playing the chord right on beat 1 than it is to be late all the time. If you got like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, it just becomes uneven and it's not as musical. Ideally, you want to be having a really strong strum either on beat 1 or where the chord changes. So if you've got a chord change halfway through the bar, you're going to have to, do twice as many chord changes. You might have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, that kind of thing. So you've got a little bit more chord changes. You have to think about where you're lifting them up. How soon do you have to start your chord change to get it ready for beat 1? Okay, this is a really, really big deal again. When you're practicing your songs, that's what you want to think about. The first few times you're playing a new song with a new chord, it might be a big fumble fest. That's okay. It's not a big deal, nothing worth beating yourself up over. Just be like, yeah, only just learned it. It's cool, it's going to be a little bit confusing and I'm not going to reach it in time. But as the week goes on and you're getting better and better, you want to start thinking about trying to get the chord shape ready for the start of the next bar so that you can deliver your strum on beat 1 confidently. It really will make it sound a lot more musical. It'll make your playing along feel better. When you're playing, you'll feel the beat better. You should be trying to tap your foot along, especially if you're using my beginner song course. You want to be using the app there. Put the song on. When the count gives you 1, 2, 3, you're already preparing the beat by tapping your foot, moving your hand, maybe bobbing your head, getting into it. So you're feeling that beat. 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, change. 1. You might find it helpful. Some people find it helpful to deliberately try and change on beat 4. So they think like 1, 2, 3, change. 1, 2, 3, change. 1, 2, 3, change. 1, 2, 3, change. So actually kind of think it. Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today we're going to check out the Peter Gunn theme. It's a really awesome beginner riff. It's kind of like a finger exercise at the same time and a picking exercise, and it's a cool riff. Some of you might know it as the Blues Brothers theme song as well. Very, very popular little ditty, this one, and it's loads of stuff good to learn in it. So let me play it for you first of all. It looks like this. Now, if I was playing it for real, I might use different exercise, and it's for you first of all. It looks like this. Now, if I was playing it for real, I might use different fingers. I'd probably be more likely to go and just use fingers 1, 2, and 3 because they're a lot stronger. But as a beginner, we haven't got into using our little finger yet, so I want you to have a go at using the fingers 1 per fret. So first finger's going to play all the notes in the 2nd fret, second finger's going to play all the notes in the 3rd fret, third finger's going to play all the notes in the 4th fret, and little finger's going to play all the notes in the 5th fret. Okay? Now the pattern is going to be open, open, 2, open, 3, open, 5th fret, 4th fret. Okay, I was talking fret numbers there. Open, open, 2, open, 3, open, 5, 4. Okay? That's the whole riff. When you first start playing it, it ain't gonna sound like that. It'll be more do. You know, it's really difficult for me to deliberately do it wrong right-handed, but if you want to watch me do it left-handed, there's the videos over on the website, the Knit Sudge series, where you can watch me fumble my way through this tune. The trick, the things that is going to help you be able to do it well, first of all, is to try and get your hand in position there, okay? Now, some of you are going to find it really difficult to keep your fingers spread out enough like that. You're going to find it be a bit like this. Try and use the right fingers, even if you have to go here and move. Here, you might end up moving a little bit like that. It's not ideal. You want to try to get the fingers spread out if you can. So just as a little starting point, first finger, second fret. It's all on the thicker string, by the way. Second finger in the 3rd fret, third finger in the 4th fret, little finger in the 5th fret. See if you can get your fingers to just sit there. You might already find that's like, hey man, that's super difficult for me, I can't do it. It's okay. Practice it through the week, you'll get better and better at it. Even if you can't do it right now, you might not be able to do it in a week or 2 weeks, but you'll be better at doing it if you try. Okay, and there's, like I said, there's a whole heap of things going on here. It's not just about playing the riff. Okay, this is a great finger exercise to be going using all 4 fingers. You're getting some little finger action. You're getting used to, with your pick hand, playing the same string over and over again, because it's literally all downs. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and would be the count for those of you who understand rhythm. It's called even 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so getting used to the pick being consistent is going to be a big part of the exercise. Getting used to using all of the different fingers. Now, some common other mistakes that you're going to find, it's going to be difficult to hit just the one string. You could probably find you go like. And that's okay. Just be forgiving of yourself again. Later on, you'll be able to control the pick better to just play one note. One thing you might find is if you let your first finger kind of rest on the strings a little bit. Here, when it's not playing or when it's playing that note, I'm letting the edge of my first finger touch on all of the strings, so it just ends up muting them a little bit. So if they were accidentally ringing out, touching them ever so lightly with the first finger, it's going to mute them all for you. So you might find that helpful. Don't worry about trying to do it fast if you're going like this. That's totally fine as well. It's a learning experience. You're going to find this difficult. The idea with me giving you these riffs is to give you kind of nice, recognizable, fun things to do on the guitar, but they're also exercises. Everyone's got something about it that I want you to learn. This idea of picking out individual notes is a really, really important thing for beginners. Learning to keep your timing consistent is important, and then starting to develop your finger independence so that you can control the fingers on the same string is also a really useful exercise. So